Welcome to Vedic Astronomy Initiation and Exposure classes. In step 16 onwards, we are going to focus upon the conceptual technical terms. Conceptual technical terms. Open a new notebook, a new page in the notebook, and mention the conceptual technical term nakshatra. With respect to the technical term nakshatra, let us make a note that this term leads us to value 8 when 1 7 1 5 1 means 6, 7, 14, 15, 23. TCV value of this term is 23, and value 23 accepts and organization 3 plus 5 plus 3 multiplied by 5, and 5 as a 5 space accepts 3 space in the role of a dimension. So it is superimposition of solid dimension upon the transcendental domain, and together with the value of the 3-dimensional frame, solid dimensional frame of 5 solid dimensions. So it is this setup, it is this superimposition which comes to be value 23, and it leads us to the TC value of the formulation nakshatra. Further, we know that Ra here is having value 1, while the Ref is having value 3, and Ka here has been given a value 1, while Ka as a Brahma will give us value 4. So here there is a value 3 as addition, here there is value 2 as addition, it gives in all a value 5 as addition, and it makes it as a value 28. And further we know that 28 points range is having 27 gaps. These all features deserves to be comprehended well. Therefore, in the notebook, let us write that we are today taking up the conceptual technical term nakshatra. It leads us to value 23. Further, the Tra with Ref as value 1 is having actual value 3, so there is an addition of value 2 here, and in the Kasha, Ka is having value 1 here. However, within creator space it has value 4, and as such this formulation nakshatra takes us to value 28. Further, as that 28 points range is having 27 gaps, while 28 itself is parallel to the gaps of 29 points range, and we know value 29 is the value of the formulation Brahma, overlord of the creator space, F4 space. Like this technical term nakshatra is having inherent set of all these values. In the Jyotish Vedanta, the nakshatras are of Surya nakshatra and Chandra nakshatra, and nakshatras are 27. So there are 27 nakshatras, and these are of Surya, Sun, as well as of Chandra. We know that Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme, is the overlord of the creator's space 4, means of the representative regular body hypercube of 4. 4 heads Lord with pair of eyes in each head, sitting on the lotus seat of 8 petals, and within the cavity of the Lord Brahma is the seat of the Lord Shiva, the transcendental Lord. It leads us to value 2, 3, 4, 5, parallel to fourfold manifestation layer of the hypercube 4, the representative regular body of a 4 space. Now see that within 4 space, we know that any domain at the initial stage, say of value n, at the next stage splits as a pair of dimensions, pair of domains leading to this value, and at the next step it leads us to values 5 of n minus 4, n minus 4, here also n minus 4, n minus 4, n minus 4. This is the split phenomenon of at the origin. The domain split phenomenon at the center, which is called a Visfort. And we know Visfort formulation, which means explosion, is of also value 29. Therefore, this formulation Brahma with TC value 29 and the value of the technical term Brahma, and it is the value of the overhead Lord Brahma, and it is 29. Further we know 29 is equal to 2 into 14 plus 1, that means going to be geometry's range 29 of hypercube of 40. It is the second manifestation. 4 space is a creator space which is of a spatial order, and as such the initial manifestation is as 2, 3, 4 and 5, and at the next stage it is this is hypercube 4, and it leads to the next stage of hypercube 14. These features, when are comprehended together, it takes us to that when there is an explosion, when there is a Visfort at the center, at the Kendra. So at the center, a Kendra, and we know Kendra is of TC value 23, which is equal to the value of a nakshatra. As such, the explosion Visfort is at the center of the creator's space, and it is at the Kendra, which is of value 23, and it gives a nakshatra. And we know that 4 space is a spatial order space. As such, there happens to be a split for value 29 as value 27 and value 27. So when this is equal to n, it comes to the value n minus 2. It is also value n minus 2, and like that we know that this split phenomenon is there, and at the next stage it will leading us to 5 streams flow of value 25 each. These values we know give us a summation value 125, and 27 and 24 gives us value 54, and here the value 29, and it total as such is the value 2008. Now it is this Brahman phenomenon, it is the Brahman value, the Brahman phenomenon, this transcendental phenomenon, Brahm of value 28, and 208 plus 28 gives us value 236, and it is equal to the number of letters of the Ganita Upsutras. So see that we are reaching at when there is a Brahm, means within the values range 29, which gives a split as 27, then gives us a value 27, and further it gives us a split as 25, 25, 25, 25 and 25. It amounts to 28, 29, 54 and 125 together gives us a value 236, which is equal to the value of the 236 letters of 13 Ganita Upsutras. Still further, let us see that 5 space as the origin is of 11 geometries range, because hypercube 5 is of 11 versions as representative regular bodies of 11 geometries of 5 space. And the 5 space we know is equal to a synthesis value of a pair of solid dimensions, and within creators of space, the second manifestation it's as 3 raised to power 3 and 3 raised to power 3. It is here we know that it is this split of a 11 geometries range for a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions of value 27. It gives us a total value 297, and we know that within creators of space, the 4 space itself is of value 2, 3, 4 and 5 is equal to 14, and therefore 297 value with value 14 for manifestation of hypercube 4 makes us the remaining values 283, which is equal to the letters 28 letters of Ganita Sutras. It is here where we can have a pause and take note that this phenomenon of explosion, Visfort within creators of space at the center, a kendra of TC value 23, is the phenomenon of the nakshatras. There are 27 nakshatras, but the formulation nakshatra itself is of TC value 23. Once we are face to face with this concept, these features, these values, these formats, then we will be in a position to appreciate as to the concept of the nakshatras of Surya Nakshatra and a Chandra Nakshatra. Let us have a pause. Let us see that the Vedic astronomy is chasing the motion of the earth around its own axis, and further the motion of the earth around the sun, is Surya. It is this chase which is being done. Therefore, the one space is a space around the sun, means the Surya is 6 space. The space around the Surya 6 space is a transcendental domain, a 5 space, a Akash Tattva. This Akash Tattva, the 5th Tattva, the transcendental domain, so transcendental concept, 5 space content is making a space, is fulfilling this particular space. And this 5 space, as we know, is leading us to a solid dimensional frame. Means this solid dimensional frame is a frame of a single dimension of the space. It leads us to value 27. This value means we know that the solar year, Saur Varsh, is of 366 days. When we divide 366 by 27, we get the value 13/5/9. We can have a pause here and note that one Surya Nakshatra, one out of the 27 Surya Nakshatras, is having sweeping parallel to 13 days plus 5/9 part of the 14th day. It becomes the swapping period. Swapping period of one nakshatra of the Surya. There are 27 Surya nakshatras. These 27 Surya nakshatras are equal to the space being framed within a solid dimensional frame, means within a frame of 3 solid dimensions. That space which is around the sun, which is filled with the transcendental content, 5 space content, as such is a space which is framed by a solid dimensional frame, and this solid dimensional frame as such is of value 23, and this total solar year being of duration 366 days. Therefore, one of the dimensions, one of the value is equal to 13 into 5 over 9, and so we say that one of the Surya nakshatra is having a swapping of 13 days plus 5 over 9th of the 14th day. This is the swapping, this is the dynamic state coverage of the Surya nakshatra. Now, further we know that the moon is having a motion around the earth. This motion around the earth is as well means there is a space. It is this space which as well is framed by a solid dimensional frame of 27 dimension, value 27, 3 raised to power 3. Now, these 27 nakshatras are having a coverage equal to the 30 days. One motion, one revolution of the moon around the earth is of total duration of 30 days. This 30 days coverage is by 27 nakshatras. As such, 30 over 27 leads us to value 1 plus 1 over 9. Therefore, one Chandra nakshatra is having swapping, space swapping by the Chandra nakshatra is of 1 day plus 1 over 9th day. This is the Chandra nakshatra. Single Chandra nakshatra swapping of the space is equal to the space of 1 day plus 1 over 9th day. The swapping by the one Surya nakshatra is of 13 days plus 5 over 9 days. This is a single Surya nakshatra swapping, and 1 into 1 over 9 is the swapping of the Chandra nakshatra. These values, as these are, become the reckoning values. In terms of these values, it becomes easy for us to reach at the Vedic Sanvatsar Panji. So, Vedic Sanvatsar Panji is having a reckoning values. It is a tabulation. This tabulation is being of the form that one Surya nakshatra is having swapping of 13 days plus 5 or 9th day, while the Chandra nakshatra is having a value 1 day plus 1 over 9th day. So these values, as these are flowing from the beneath geometric format, along which there is a existence phenomenon of the dynamic state. The dynamic state existence phenomenon of the earth around its own axis, as well as around the sun, and moon around the earth. Now, these values, these phenomena as such deserves to be comprehended. It is this dynamic state model of the geometric formats leading us to the parallel reckoning values. Now, geometric format, dynamic state of the earth in its dual motion around its own axis and around the sun, and moon also having a dual motion. Firstly, its motion is around the axis, around the earth, moving around its axis, and together this combined setup of earth moving around its axis and moon also moving around the earth, and then this combined setup of earth and moon having a motion, dynamic state, revolution around the sun. The space which is the space of the dynamic state formates is the space which is framed within a solid dimensional frame. Three solid dimensions as a frame are framing the space which is being swept by the earth and moon together, and it is this dynamic state of the existence phenomenon of the earth revolving around its own axis and around the sun, and also taking the moon moving around the earth itself along with it. And it is this geometric format of the dynamic state existence phenomenon of the earth taking moon along with it, revolving around it along with it, and earth moving around its axis and moving around the sun. So it is this dynamic state phenomenon which is being chased by which is being availed by the Vedic astronomy. The Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is availing a geometric format of a space with sun itself in a static state, and the space around the sun means a 5 space enveloping boundary of a 6 space, the transcendental space enveloping 6 space, or the transcendental content enveloping the solar universe. So solar universe fulfilled with the 5 space content, with 5 space itself being of a dynamic state. So this dynamic state of a transcendental content, dynamic state of a transcendental space content within a solid dimensional frame as a sweeping phenomenon of the nakshatras. This as such makes us conscious that we shall be parallel to this dynamic state existence phenomenon of the motion of the earth being chased by the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga. Therefore, one shall sit comfortably and to tabulate these conceptual terms of features. So these values, features and formats of the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga for chase of the dynamic state phenomenon of the earth is the subject matter of learning, subject matter of chase, subject matter of imbibing. The connected aspect is that these nakshatras, which are 27 in number, are the nakshatras, means these are in fact the dimensional frame. So space being framed with the dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. Let us make a note. Nakshatra technically and conceptually is parallel to the space being framed by a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. So a space with a dimensional frame, a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. The Lagd Jyotish Vedanga and Vedic astronomy as such as well is having a geometric format, and this geometric format is a format of a space within a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. This frame as such becomes the frame of a 5-space content, solid dimensional content, which is a space tattva, Akash tattva, the 5th element. And it is this transcendental content, it is this transcendental space, it is this space within a solid dimensional frame which is enveloping the sun, which is enveloping 6th space, which is enveloping our solar universe. The solar universe model is taken as a static state which is enveloped within a dynamic state. A dynamic state enveloping the static state is the state of a 5-space content. This 5-space content is a content which gets static state within a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. Now with it, what happens is that the space content, which here becomes a 5-space content, this 5-space content is trapped or is made stagnant or is fixed within a solid dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. So in fact it is making it into a 27 zones. So these 27 zones of the space filled with a 5-space content. Space, let's make down a specific comprehension. Number 1, the sun is taken in a static state. Sun is a 6-space body. This 6-space body is having 5 space in the role of a boundary. 5 space is leading to 5 space content. So 5 space content is enveloping the solar universe, or solar universe is fulfilled with a 5 space content. Now this sphere, this ball filled with a 5 space content, and this 5 space content is fixed by putting it within a 3-dimensional frame of 3 solid dimensions. It makes 27 zones. So each of these 27 zones in fact is a zone which is a setup of a 5-space content. So it is 5-space content which is fulfilling. So 27 such zones are become the phenomenon of the nakshatras. So this zone means a 5-space content, we know in a dynamic state will lead us to 5, 6, 7 and 8 of value 26, and value 26 is the TC value of a formulation Devta. Let us make a note that each of the 27 zones of the space is a zone fulfilled with a 5-space content. 5-space content in a dynamic state would mean a 5-space playing the role of a dimension. 5-space in the role of a dimension will lead us to 5, 6, 7, 8, means lead us to hypercube 7 format of the summation value 26. This value 26 is the value of the formulation Devata. As such, each nakshatra is having its Devata. It is this concept, it is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. Sit comfortably, permit the transcending mind to be parallel to the phenomenon of each nakshatra having its distinct Devata. This distinct Devata would mean the values of the 5-space content of the 1 nakshatra zone. So 1 nakshatra zone as a 5-space content in its dynamic state is making a hypercube 7 format. Now this hypercube 7 format values, features become the values of the Devata of the concerned nakshatra. One may further have a pause here and take note that the 7th space means the pole star as origin of a 6th space is sun. As such, This geometric format of Yajur Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is giving us a reach up till the origin of the sun, means 7 space, means pole star. Therefore, the entire exercise of the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is to have a reach within a Akash Tattva 5 space content for a reach up till pole star 7 space in the role of a origin of a 6 space. Once 7 space comes in the role of a origin, then it makes a 6 space itself in a dynamic state. It is this feature, it is this attainment, it is this comprehension, it is this value which deserves to be comprehended well, as this way we will be reaching from the foundational format of Yajur Ved Jyotish Vedanga to the final phase of attainment of the Vedic astronomy. Therefore, one shall be face to face with the technical names of 27 nakshatras, these abbreviations of these nakshatra formulations given in Shloka 18, and further the names of the devatas of these nakshatras. So we should know the nakshatras and we should know the devatas of the nakshatras, and we shall also know the beneath geometric formats. One shall sit comfortably, permit the transcending mind to be face to face with the values, features and format of the 27 nakshatras and their devatas, and the interrelationship, coordination, organization for the dynamic state chase by the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga of the earth revolving around its own axis and carrying moon along with it, and having a motion around the sun, with firstly taking sun in a static state and then reaching at the origin, a pole star, and once pole star stands fixed, then having a further chase of a sun itself in a dynamic state. Thank you very much.